we have the show therapist. I always call you up the show therapist. I am extremely happy to have you back. I just want the world to know that having you on the Marianne Show, it's not to put anyone down. You actually are here to help the world with so much going on, but particularly a project. I want the world to know that for orphans, it is very hard, and people need to know that it's not good to put down an orphan. So I was reading your bio off the computer from your internet, and some of the things that I like about you, and I think that you're really good for people, where it says that you empower people. You give them insight of who they are, and you help them with a healing difference. And you also give them guidance with directions. I noticed that you've been in business, you've been doing this for 15 years, um, but you're more so into helping them calm what's inside of them, their inner peace. I noticed that you help people with dysfunctional family situations. And, of course, most people, you hear about the therapy of depression, that therapy help. But what I like is the fact that you help with dysfunctional families. And coming from a foster care system, I feel like when I was doing my research, of course, I'm in school trying to get a DR in front of my name with leadership and management. But some of the things that I noticed when I'm doing this research on age out orphans, that at 27,000 orphans, and I don't know if that's in Missouri or if it's nationwide, but one is too many. 27 orphans are homeless at 18 years old, aging out of the foster care system with trash bags of clothes. How does that really make an orphan feel? And what type of impact does that really have on a person?
Oh my goodness. And Marianne, thank you again for having me back for sure. This is such an important message because we're talking about dysfunctional families and we're talking about orphans. Like you're talking about these kids who are aged out of the foster care system and don't have a place to go. And we all every human being needs to feel safe and loved and supported. And so those are some basic human needs that we all have. So when that's not present, it's such a difficult path of depression, anxiety, and just poor choices as a person is they really are in survival mode. And when you're in survival mode, that takes so much energy and inner deep energy and resources that really they're maybe lacking in certain ways just from being in the system. And it's really hard to thrive, right, when you're in survival mode. And so they need so much love and support and empathy and understanding just to be able to continue the journey of healing. And for some of them,
So,
begin a journey of healing.
it's difficult. I'm pretty seasoned, and as a former aged out orphan, and in every situation is complex. I just didn't get. I never really ate food at the table of a mother and father. So some of these orphans may not have ever really ate with their parents. Uh, so when they're putting them out at 18 and they're telling them to go to a homeless shelter or just make it on their own, that's quite dangerous. I mean, that's who has anything at really realistically, if you're not from a rural family, what do you really
Yes.
at 18? What because it's hard enough to go to college at 18. So
Yes.
for the rest of your life, the impact is so serious because just looking at some of the things, there's certainly no one to blame, but it's a more serious problem of a person realizing this is affecting a tree. This is a real tree of a mother, father, cousin, sister, brother, grandparents that is really missing. And sometimes in life, when you become older, people hold you accountable for not maintaining a family the way it should be, your traditional families.
Mm.
So, what are some suggestions that you have for orphans? Of course, one of the projects I'm doing, and of course, I'm going to do it with conjunction with Monique Buchanan, but I'm also in the process of getting a building. So when I was 17 years old, sort of got myself in trouble. I finally, this foster home wasn't working. The second foster home wasn't working. So the state of Missouri Protective Service back in the day put me in a boarding house. So I'm thinking that I'm going to get a boarding house where they would be, and I'm looking for a building now, but they would share kitchens in the living room, and they would have a place where they would pay X amount of rent. Really need you to work. I think that working helps the orphans. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. And
I surrender, I surrender.
All right, pal. Get ready for the day, buddy.
Hey, Dad. Hey, Dad. Do we have a gun?
What's that?
Do we have a gun?
there's a really great program. There's some good programs out there to help the orphans who are aged out of the system. And the PAL program is one of them. And I know that they help with skills, with just money management, life skills, and they help with like housing information and transportation. And I believe the PAL program is in most states, I want to say.
Spell that again.
Yeah, it's just PAL, PAL, the PAL program, and it is helping with helping them progress through adult living. And so to teach them how to be independent, more independent adults, where they help them with skills, like I said, money management, and just all the things that it takes to with running your bank, right? Your bank statements, right? Understanding, again, money management, housing, transportation. So that is one good resource that I've heard positive things about, the PAL program. And I think that's what this is about. It's about letting them know that they're not alone. So we need more platforms to encourage people to, to step on board and help educate, to just lend that helpful hand that says, we care and we're here, and let us help you with resources. I think that's where we need a lot more help, is getting the information out.
So it's such a sticky situation, because anyone in life, we go through transitions, and in life you may lose a job, or this may happen, or this and that. And with orphans, it's so tricky. I've never, as an orphan, one day I was homeless, and I stayed in a car, and I drove around as long as I could with my son and daughter. They were 4 and 9. But for one day, then I ended up just going in the driveway of one of my ex-husband's sisters, and she didn't know that I was there. But I was able to sort of put all the clothes on the kids, so no one would know they were there, leaving them some breathing room, and sort of hid myself inside of a car, locked, because I was still outside in the cold. When I think I was 16 years old. It was this building. Unfortunately, the man died, Demetrius Johnson, but he bought this building. And I was able to go down the steps when I ran away. And I hid down some steps. And I hid because it was dark. So some orphans have to find places, like, how to survive as an orphan. If you stay out here long enough, you'll know how to survive. But we don't want to teach people that they are animals and they are to live outside. And even sometimes shelters are okay, but you don't want an 18-year-old, this is life, this is it. The protection is gone. This is gone. They used to get rid of them at 18. Now they sort of keep them until they're 21. But it's like, if you mess up, you 18, you 19. But when you're with your parents, when you're with a relative, you can realistically mess up and come back. But what they don't understand is, you have to walk that straight line. I keep telling people, if I didn't do right, I would have been in trouble. The most I've ever gotten in trouble for is tickets in life. So what are you suggesting? Because it's one thing about orphans, or orphans are like policemen. It's hard to trust. it's really hard to trust. And I've been told by a doctor, you don't trust nobody, do you? I say no. He said, good. I mean, a doctor told me it's good that you don't trust anyone. So what do you do in this life? What do you tell 18 or 19? I even forgot what to tell them because sometimes I feel like I'm still surviving. How do
Mhm.
we make it?
Mhm. Yeah, it's different. Everyone's situation is unique. Their traumatic experiences, the support or lack of support, which is mostly lack of. Sometimes you can have family members can still be involved at some level, and you hope for that. But I really think we have to provide hope in some way. We have hope and support. And I hear what you're saying, and that's why we need just better agencies that they know they can go to, or more agencies where we can really help them just through the next steps as they try to find their path and their way. And so I hear with some of these programs like the PAL program, they do start teaching them maybe around age 15 and 16, and then I know they, like you were saying, the support now they extend like insurance, I want to say through the age of 21. And there are different adjustments that have been made to help them. But gosh, support, love, understanding, resources, and
Why is it so hard for people to love foster kids and to respect them? So I was always married. So when I divorced, I didn't realize the impact of, I get people saying to me, you're outnumbered. I just think that no one should have to handle that. You're telling a child, and I consider 18, 19, 21. Hey, I consider 30 a child with my son turning 30. My daughter 24. I consider that those children, because times are so different and we need so much. Oh, jumping inside of an orphan head and a HFR, how you tell them to deal with all of this rejection? Because I noticed that when I watch certain interviews, it's all the same thing. Everyone says rejection. They keep rejecting me. How do you tell them as we wrap up? And we're certainly going to talk about it again because I am getting a building for the orphans. It's complex, but how do you tell them? Of course, we're going to need therapy for them. How do you tell them to keep their head up?
Well, I think it's important to understand, look, we're all created in the image and likeness of God, and we are created good. And you know what happens? But some family dysfunction happens, and it's not their fault. And I think that's what we need to let them know. You have suffered tremendously. I can't even imagine, but it's not your fault. And there, and we're and just restoring that, because they carry so much guilt and shame and rejection and
Like,
pain,
why come back? Why
mistrust.
love me? Why am I fighting? Like sometimes I feel like I actually disowned everyone because I went to a funeral and they left my name out. And every time I go, my name is getting left out. So I'm like, okay, what's going on? What does that do to a person? Um, don't worry about me, but what does that do to an orphan that finally gets back with their family and they keep rejecting them? They keep saying, oh, should we call you this name? Should we call you that name? Or I don't really know you. What are your suggestions for them dealing with that? For me, I had to cut everyone out off.
Many times when you're dealing with that level of dysfunction and trauma, it's okay. You have to set healthy boundaries. You have to learn to say no to people who are maybe toxic in your life, and keep the wound open instead of helping the wound to heal. So yes, sometimes you have to cut people out of your life as well. And so it's a very, very tough journey, without a doubt. And so I think it is letting them know it's not their fault, that,
And that
it's
you are loved, we
yes.
love you, and the love is sincere. So if I would walk across an orphan or someone like me, I don't want to get into their business, but I would just let them know with my kindness. I need to wear a hat that says "just be kind," to let
Yeah.
them know I'm just there for you to be kind and
I
have a
I think you're exactly right. I think those acts of kindness, those loving words to say, I care and you are loved, that goes a long way. And I think we need to do more of that in our communities to people we see that are struggling and hurting.
And
We
it
need,
doesn't have to just be foster care people. And that's why we have you here, because I know I miss it. I probably feel like I've been going crazy because you haven't come on the show once a month, but it's people like you. That's all we need to do is see your face and we know it's going to be okay. And that little bit calms us down. We're all going through something. No one's not going through nothing. The pain, damn, with food being so high, you're going through something. Everything is so high. It's triple high. You're going through something. So we just all need to be kind. So we certainly appreciate you coming on the show. We're going to bring you back every month, but we really appreciate, like, I feel like, I don't know what stigma is out there on a therapist, but I think that the world, everyone needs some type of therapist in their pocket. Just someone you can talk to, that you could say, hey, I just want to talk. And I think talking it out is okay. Someone that's not going to tell your business, hey, I'm going through this. It's not just, because we're going to close this, but why is it that people out of the age out foster system have relationship problems?
Mhm. Right. It starts from the very beginning. Mistrust. They can't trust their own family, their parents. And so there's fear and there's anxiety and there's attachment issues because they were not able to attach in a healthy way to their caregivers. And there's abandonment too. So it causes all kinds of anxiety and, again, attachment issues and fear, because there's mistrust from the very beginning stages of life. And so I appreciate this platform. And I think it takes us all working together to get the word out about love and acts of kindness. It's so very important.
Well, we want to bring you back, and I want to just ask more questions so that there's a foster person watching. I just want to let them know that we care. Again, there's a program called PAL. Look it up. I'll put it on my website to call, but I think it's just, I always say for life, it's God, my family, and seeing what I can do to give back, because I made it. I have almost 40 years of work experience. And I just think that if they work, it'll be okay. A lot of times when people are aged out, they either go to the army or they get into the wrong army service, but they get into the wrong relationships. And I just think having programs like this will help them, because that's something that you don't want to do. When the time is right, you'll know. But realistically, you want to reach out to resources for help.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Marianne. I really appreciate this platform.
We certainly